Can't leave him behind.
Nate, your brother is dead. Either come with me or join him.
Welcome to MojoPlays, and today we're looking at 20 games that are basically just interactive movies. Not that that's a bad thing, but for you movie buffs out there, they might be worth checking out.
You weren't kidding. It's like a mirror, reflecting the past.
How about that?
Before we begin, we publish new videos all week long, so be sure to subscribe to MojoPlays and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos. King's Quest.
And then you scooped up all the weapons, right? Right?
No, Gwendolyn, I didn't. I was looking for a wheel, not a fight.
If you ever get the itch for a good old point-and-click adventure game, then sure, go play some of the older King's Quest games on PC. You can get all 7 of them for 10 or 20 bucks depending on if you catch it on a sale. But the 2015 reimagining has a certain magic to it that evokes classic Disney or Don Bluth movies. From the visual style, to the music, to the writing, it's almost like watching those animation gems from way back when, but in an interactive medium. Plus, you can tell Graham's story the way you see fit. Do you want him to be daring and bold, or just a clumsy doofus? The choice is yours.
The tournament bylaws explicitly state that each contestant must complete every event before continuing on in the competition. Since you were late, you missed the test of chivalry and the welcoming parade.
Metal Gear Solid 4: Guns of the Patriots.
War has changed. When the battlefield is under total control, war becomes routine.
A sharp shift from fairy tale to gritty and realistic, right? While many of the Metal Gear games can be seen as more movie than game, Guns of the Patriots is arguably way more heavy on the cutscenes. Players have pointed out that while the game takes almost 20 hours to finish, roughly half of that time is spent in cutscenes with occasional QuickTime events. If that sounds more your speed, then sure, go play Guns of the Patriots, but if you're wanting more gameplay, then the other Metal Gear games might be to your liking.
Oh, thoughtful.
Alan Wake 2.
It can't be a coincidence that another body turns up just as we arrive in town. Feels like the killer's leaving us a message.
You can tell from the camera work, editing, and visual fidelity that Remedy Entertainment was burning money to make this one hell of a horror game. Though you will spend good chunks of the game investigating, making deductions, and such, Alan Wake 2 goes hard on the cutscenes, and we don't mean in quantity. Some scenes get so intense that you might have to take breaks before resuming gameplay. It really is like watching a brutal slasher flick, or something as haunting as Hereditary.
This wasn't some random act of violence. This was a ritual.
Death Stranding. Turning back to Hideo Kojima for a minute, Death Stranding is insanely heavy on the cutscenes. Like, it's almost egregious enough that many players were turned off by the game at launch. It does have fun moments when you're actually traversing the world and finding different means to transport cargo, but to give you an idea of how ridiculous this can get, you won't be using your controller much during the first 2 hours of the game. Hey, if you've been wanting a super casual game, Death Stranding could be your next favorite. As for the rest of us, we moved on to greener pastures.
Watch yourself. Those things never stay gone for long.
LA Noire.
Where every man can own his own home, and have room to breathe, and not be overlooked by his neighbors.
Film noir fans will find plenty to love about LA Noire. Not only does it evoke the same look and feel of that film genre with its various archetypes, it lets you take the role of Detective Cole Phelps as he investigates grisly murders and seeks to bring justice to the streets of Los Angeles. From the way you conduct interviews to the wonderfully shot cutscenes, there are plenty of moments that perfectly capture this era of post-World War II cinema. Just remember that in this world, everyone has some nasty skeletons in their closets. Even Cole Phelps.
I'm Officer Phelps, miss. I'm here about the shooting. Did you know the victim?
He was my boss.
Ace Attorney series. With the rise of true crime, crime dramas, and even crime comedies, it's hard to imagine anyone not liking the Ace Attorney games. Yes, they are more text-based games than ones riddled with cutscenes. However, the way the dialogue is written can feel very much like you're enjoying a show inspired by Bones and Case Closed, even if some of Phoenix Wright's situations can be a bit more absurd. But if you truly feel as though you could be a great investigator or lawyer like the ones you see on TV, then you should absolutely give the Ace Attorney games a chance. Danganronpa series.
What the hell?
Once again, we do have another series that can be more heavy on the text and not so much on cutscenes. But unlike the Ace Attorney games, Danganronpa does feature some voice acting. So if you want, you can just take some time to take care of a quick house chore and just remember to hit X, and just listen to the scene unfold. Just make sure you're paying close attention during the investigations and trials. You won't want to be half attentive like you would a Hallmark or Lifetime movie, only to suddenly be invested during dramatic moments.
I'm right?
Red Dead Redemption series.
You gonna tell me about your Wild West days? Running with Jim Boy Calloway?
Little boy Calloway? The only running he did was away from a fight. And that's about the end of it.
We are aware that Red Dead Revolver exists, but the game isn't super heavy on cutscenes or even movie-like presentation. No, Red Dead Redemption and its sequel are perfect for those who love spaghetti westerns or movies themed around the American frontier. From playing poker to duels to bounty hunting, the Red Dead Redemption games feel as though every facet of those spaghetti western movies were ripped out and put straight into an interactive format. On top of that, the story of John Marston and Arthur Morgan are some of the most well-written narratives in gaming between the dialogue, acting, and commentary on the American dream.
My card and a map.
Well, maybe I shall.
Only the decent ones. They have to be at least 24 inches in length.
Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy.
You hacked my visor and added a scoreboard to it while I was sleeping.
That was different. I improved it. Also, did anyone tell you that you snore?
If you've been disappointed by the massive decline in quality of the MCU, the gaming side of Marvel has been on the up and up. Somewhat.
Brother,
Guardians of the Galaxy is one of those gems. Unfortunately, you cannot play as whichever Guardian is your favorite, but as Star-Lord, you can pull off sick maneuvers in combat, along with Gamora, Drax, Rocket, and Groot by your side. You will also get plenty of opportunities to pull some wisecracks on different characters, so in a sense, you are living out an MCU-like movie with some quality writing and storytelling.
Questionable.
You can say that again.
More or less questionable than your flying skills, Peter Quill.
He's got you there.
Marvel's SpiderMan series.
So I think the new guys have to tag the old guys, and they have to go to their corner, no?
Suppose you want a good Marvel movie, but not MCU-like. Perhaps there's a part of you that misses the action and suspense of, say, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, but fused with the modern Sony flicks. Well, Insomniac's Spider-Man games do offer that movie-like experience. There are so many explosive action sequences in chasing down baddies before going toe-to-toe with them, and with each game featuring suits seen in some of the movies, you can almost pretend like you're playing a long-lost sequel to those films.
Alright, but we do this my way. I know a place I can access a security terminal. Let you know what's coming.
Heavy Rain.
I really gotta focus on this party. We'll continue this little conversation later.
Now, if you're a crime drama fan who likes one big nebulous case rather than multiple cases, Heavy Rain might satisfy you. We won't lie that some of the motion capture and writing can be questionable at times.
Jason!
However, Heavy Rain manages to leave you in suspense at just the right moments that it can be hard to stop, much like binging a really good murder mystery show. So long as you were prepared for some wonky QuickTime events, this game might be a great alternative to an ordinary TV show.
Surrender, weakling. Say your prayer.
Resident Evil series.
People, right? But you have the same thing inside you.
The same thing that made them like that.
Whether you're a fan of zombies, slashers, action horror flicks, or even schlocky horror, Resident Evil serves just about every viewer. From the original and clunky PS1 games to the HD remakes to the modernized remakes of RE2, 3, and 4, Resident Evil serves as a love letter to horror as a whole. And for every moment that feels hokey, there are some genuinely terrifying moments. Well, assuming you're not playing RE5 or 6, which are more heavy on the action and not so much on the scares. That said, anyone who can appreciate George Romero's influence or an overall fun zombie horror movie should be comfortable going through Resident Evil.
You don't understand. William is still out there, and if I don't stop him, this conversation is over.
Baldur's Gate 3.
I'm alive, yes. Thank you for the concern.
For the most part, Baldur's Gate 3 is played from a top-down perspective, but that's only when exploring or engaging in combat. Half your time is spent conversing with other characters, and these moments aren't just static shots and simple cuts. The way these interactions are edited together feels very much like you're watching a standard movie or TV show. It's honestly the most impressive camera work we've seen compared to most RPGs, and it sort of helps keeps the player immersed in their own role in the story.
Harder! Come on, put your back into it!
WWE 2K series.
The fans, the cheers, the boos, and of course, the superstars, looking to always rise to that occasion.
Ever since 2K took over publishing rights for WWE games, there has been an interesting formula used for each game's main campaign. Each game focuses on a storied WWE star and lets you play through some of the biggest highlights in their respective careers. While you still have to win each fight, there are occasional moments that switch from gameplay to real footage of said match, with cuts to the star explaining what was going through their head in the moment. It's almost like playing through one of the many WWE documentaries that exist today.
Yanking Hogan's chain from his neck, it was clear. There was no turning back.
God of War series.
This knife was hers. Now it is yours.
One could say that God of War is responsible for the Sony we have today, the one that's focused on open-world cinematic experiences. Regardless of how you feel about it, each God of War evokes that style in brilliant ways. Every set piece, every establishing shot, and every camera movement sells the sense of scale, showing how Kratos, the size of an average man, is taking on foes that are almost 100 times his size. It all helps show the player just how massive the world of God of War truly is, almost in the same way as you'd see in something like Jason and the Argonauts or Clash of the Titans.
Zeus! Your son has returned. I bring the destruction of Olympus!
Mortal Kombat series.
I recognized your footsteps, Hanzo.
Where's Sector? I will not let him threaten my clan again.
We're almost getting into literally just movies territory, but Mortal Kombat is definitely that. While you will get to have your time fighting other characters as different members of the main cast, the 2011 reboot and the games that came after it all tell their stories as if you're watching a campy martial arts movie or an action fantasy flick. Sometimes, the cutscenes can go on for a bit too long, but most of the time, you might forget that you're playing a video game until you hear the announcer again. Look alive!
Quan Chi unleashed your vengeance. Without him, you are weak.
Until Dawn.
Hey, did you see that? Dad said it'd just be us this weekend. Josh.
Much like Mortal Kombat, Until Dawn can make you forget that you're playing a game until it presents a critical moment to you. You can get invested in watching Chris and Ashley try to flirt with each other, or Mike talk to himself while exploring a creepy building. But you might get caught off guard when a QuickTime event or a dialogue choice suddenly presents itself. In other words, you are playing a horror movie that hides many secrets in its lore, setting, and relationships. Those therapy scenes might get their hooks into you as well.
Try to speed up a bit. The more you rely on your instincts, the more honest your answers will be, and the more enlightening you will find this experience.
Uncharted series.
Every detail of his journey, but he never told what happened to all those ships and the passengers.
The way the Uncharted games pace cutscenes and gameplay can vary from game to game. but for the most part, cutscenes are primarily kept to crucial story beats. You'll spend a good chunk of time climbing, shooting, and exploring, but when cutscenes start up, they offer a nice break to sit back, take a breather from the action, and watch the story unfold. As for the camera work, both cutscenes and gameplay are shot much like some of your favorite adventure movies, such as the Indiana Jones flicks. It all blends together for a game that truly understands how to make games still feel and play like games while giving that cinematic experience. Much of what we said can also apply to the Last of Us games.
Get to the highway! What? Go! You got Sarah! I cannot run him!
Uncle Tommy?
I will meet you there! Hurry!
Daddy, we can't leave him!
Like a Dragon series.
You're the man! Thanks so much, H-On!
As far as balance between cutscene and gameplay goes, the Like a Dragon games don't give a crap about that. When you sit down to play Like a Dragon, you are here for a story the way developer Ryu Gagodoku Studio wants to tell it. Basically, you can be watching cutscenes anywhere between a minute to almost an hour. Not that that's a bad thing for this series. For those unfamiliar, Ryu Gagodoku Studio does work with writers and actors who are known in Japan for their work in movies, television, and literature. And some of them have won awards or even had their works adapted into other formats. That being said, you can guarantee that every Like a Dragon game is going to have an enthralling story that makes it worth watching and playing.
Call it robbery! Grand theft even! My passport, my wallet, my clothes, my underwear! She did me so dirty!
The Telltale Games.
I think that might be a little while, you know?
Oh.
Look, I don't know what happened, but I'll look after you until then.
If you were playing games throughout the 2010s, you might be familiar with the name Telltale Games. Before the studio unceremoniously collapsed in 2018, Telltale was widely known for their narrative-driven adventure games. The Walking Dead, Tales from the Borderlands, The Wolf Among Us, so many games that were wonderfully written and beautifully shot. They weren't always the most technically sound, but for a collection of games like this, it was nice to revisit Telltale's works in between the bigger releases and experience something less stressful but still captivating. Since its closure, Telltale has been reborn under a new owner and leadership, though the studio has only put out a game based on The Expanse. Work is currently being done on a sequel to The Wolf Among Us, which is expected to arrive in 2024.
You're the one risking your entire family getting shipped off. It's completely irresponsible, Toad.
But tell us, which video game do you think is more movie than game?
Yeah, you wish.
Did it make our list? Let us know down in the comments, and be sure to subscribe to MojoPlays for more great videos every day.